Hey YouTube.
Hi YouTube, welcome to our first ever video essay ever. You can tell because of the quality of our mics. Please forgive us.
Before we begin, we thought we'd introduce ourselves and give a little background into the topic. I'm Hannah. I use any pronouns.
I'm Oliver. I use they them pronouns. We played through the entire Kingdom Hearts franchise this past spring semester. For me, it was the second time, and for Hannah, it was the very first time ever.
Yeah, my first time ever. I'm a newbie to the franchise, but I played it in like 4 months. So I think like in terms of saturation of Kingdom Hearts content, I'm like, the human mind is not meant to comprehend
Yeah,
the amount of Kingdom Hearts that I did in such a short period of time.
Yep. I originally played it in a month, but that was in high school when high schoolers only have free time, and in college you have homework.
After Oliver's begging and insistence and threats to kick me out of our dorm,
I'm very mean.
I did play it.
And I loved it.
Yeah, I did.
Your favorite character is
and
Rucksack.
Enough to make an hour-long video on it. Rojas.
Mr. Rojas.
Yeah, Roxas he's my son, and he can auto-generate skateboards in every room, which is a skill I wish I had.
Alright, so this video is like a higher level media analysis, right? So we're not gonna be doing any synopsis of the game. We're going to assume that you have a basic level understanding of the plot, because we're not going to explain it to you. Also, this video is specifically focused on the relationship between Sora and Kairi and how it evolves throughout the games. We do talk about Riku because it's related, definitely, but that's not the primary focus.
Kind of like assuming that we're gonna be kind of assuming that you're on the same page as us regarding Riku. If you're not, for whatever reason, watch Tanel Flowers' video.
Riku is gay and why it matters.
Riku is gay, yeah, that's what it's called. You should watch that. When you're done with this one, obviously, watch this video first, all the way to the end, and then replay it a couple times, and then like and comment and subscribe.
Oh yeah, like and subscribe. For every like, we
Hit
will...
the notification bell.
For every like, we will play the entire franchise over again. So, every single like causes untold suffering.
For every like, I have to finally play Chain of Memories myself. Just watching the cutscene.
For every like, we will do, Lingering Will crit level 1 with the Kingdom Key.
You can take our word for that. No magic.
No magic, Kingdom Key, level 1, crit. Please enjoy the video.
Yeah. Yeah, let's get into the video.
Yeah.
Cool.
If you're the kind of person who would watch this video, first of all, I know what you are. But the likelihood is you already have a bit of background information on things like queer theory. And I trust you, you're very smart. But I'd like to take a minute to discuss what's become a bit of an internet buzzword. Comphet. What is it? Or, as some of you might be wondering, isn't that just a lesbian thing? Well, I used to think so too. And for good reason, since the two are pretty historically tied. Comphet, short for compulsory heterosexuality, which is very hard to say despite how many times I'm going to attempt to in this video, was first coined by Adrienne Rich in her essay Compulsory Heterosexuality and Lesbian Existence. In simple terms, Comphet is the societal enforcement of heterosexuality, and more than that, the idea that straightness is the default. Often, queerness isn't even an option we're given. Someone who's experiencing Comphet isn't performing heterosexuality to be manipulative or to stay in the closet. On some level, they truly believe themselves to be straight. How does this happen? In her essay, Rich posited heterosexuality as not just an orientation, but as a tool, specifically one of the patriarchy. If heterosexuality was an institution that women couldn't opt out of, something forcibly and subliminally imposed in all aspects of life, it kept them under the thumb of men. This is where the idea of political lesbianism came about. In the 70s and 80s, a lot of second-wave feminists refused the idea that they were defined in terms of their relationships to men, and chose to only have sex with women as a form of political action. Now, as you could probably tell, there are some issues with that. namely that an attraction to men is on some level shameful or inherently anti-feminist. Also, the idea that lesbianism is a choice. But anyway, that era kind of cemented Comphet as a uniquely female phenomenon, something men couldn't go through because of their position in the patriarchy. They would be exempt from that kind of oppression. Now, while I've been using pretty binary language so far to keep things simple, Oliver and I are both lesbians, but neither of us are women, and we've both been affected by compulsory heterosexuality. Nowadays, Comphet is commonly brought up in reference to the infamous Am I a Lesbian Master doc, which was circulated pretty widely around 2020. It leaves behind the idea of lesbianism as a political tool, seeing it more as we do nowadays, as a romantic and sexual identity. It also sees Comphet as more of an individual experience than a collective one. It asks readers to reevaluate how they see their personal relationships to men, maybe discovering they're not so straight in the process. Now, this video isn't about lesbians, so it won't apply in its entirety, but it does lay the groundwork pretty well for what Sora might be going through in terms of his feelings for Riku, as well as those he thought he had for Kairi. And besides, Sora's like an honorary lesbian in my book. Like a lesbian if they were a gay man. While most insight into Comphet is from a lesbian perspective, there's really no reason it can't apply to men as well. It might be more common for lesbians, since affection between women is more likely to be seen as platonic than it is for men. It's also pretty normalized for heterosexual women to hate on their partners and joke about wishing they were gay, so it's far more likely that a lesbian simply wouldn't notice their experience was any different from that of a straight woman. That being said, the core premise of these documents, the idea that straightness is imposed as the default in society, isn't exclusive to one group. It's definitely ingrained in men's heads from a young age that they should be attracted to women, and gay men are also seen as less than under heteronormativity, as they fail to fulfill what is expected of them by creating a nuclear family. And the stigma around male affection could just as easily be felt the other way around, wherein a gay man believes himself to be abnormal for his feelings, leading to the repression of his identity. Kingdom Hearts is actually a really great piece of media to analyze under this lens because of the way it handles masculinity and gender roles, and how they're represented in the Disney movies it chooses to include. Okay, Oliver said they'd edit if I wrote the intro, so I hope you feel adequately introduced. The Destiny Islands prologue of Kingdom Hearts 1 gives us, to this day, still some of the best information we have on Sora and Kairi's dynamic. Until I rewatched the cutscenes to research this video, I forgot how much I really loved their interactions here. We get to see Sora, Kairi, and Riku in an unaltered state, before they get split up and caught in Keyblade Wars, and, more importantly to our argument, before they're exposed to outside perceptions of how they should interact. We're seeing the trio pre-heteronormativity, if you will. This doesn't stop both Kairi and Riku from having raging crushes on Sora, of course, but rather speaks to Sora's general lack of interest in romance. In fact, he appears to be really uncomfortable whenever it's brought up, made pretty clear by how he reacts to Riku bringing up Paopu fruit during their race, and the insinuation he'd want to share one with Kairi.
If I win, I'm captain. And if you win...
I get to share the Paopu with Kairi.
Huh?
Deal? The winner gets to share a Paopu with Kairi.
Wait a minute. Okay, on my count.
This is not the face of a man who's caught having a crush. This is bewilderment, verging on distress. He starts to protest the involvement of a Paopu fruit in the bet, but is cut off. And Riku knows this will get under Sora's skin, since he already tried it earlier. When he gave Sora the Paopu on the bridge, he looked equally out of place.
You wanted one, didn't you?
A Paopu fruit?
If two people share one, their destinies become intertwined. They'll remain a part of each other's lives, no matter what. Come on, I know you want to try it.
What are you talking?
Again, he objects and tosses it into the ocean. There's probably a fish under the boardwalk that wants it more than he does. At this point in the series, I don't think Sora knows he's gay, but he also doesn't know he's expected to be straight. Without the influence of heteronormative society, Sora's allowed to be uninterested in pursuing romantic relationships. He's generally pretty oblivious on that front. Let's play a game. On Destiny Islands, count how many times Sora makes this noise.
Huh?
Then count how many times it's in response to something Kairi says. Your answers should be nearly one and the same. I actually just showed you the single exception.
I'll race you. Huh? Just the two of us. Huh? Don't ever change. Huh?
Everything this girl says goes directly over his head. I'm actually going to focus in on that last conversation, the one on the pier at sunset. It's a pretty big one, and gives us a lot of insight into Kairi's perspective on their friendship, which will carry over to analysis of her behavior in future games.
You know, Riku has changed.
What do you mean?
Well...
You okay?
Sora! Let's take the raft and go! Just the two of us!
Huh?
Just kidding.
What's gotten into you? You're the one that's changed, Kairi.
Maybe. You know, I was a little afraid at first, but now I'm ready. No matter where I go or what I see, I know I can always come back here. Right?
Yeah, of course.
That's good. Sora, don't ever change.
Huh?
I just can't wait. Once we set sail, it'll be great.
I could probably go line by line here, to be honest, but what's most important are her feelings on change. She starts the conversation with her fear that Riku has changed. A strange claim to make, since through flashbacks the series shows us he's had a fairly consistent personality since childhood. He's competitive, desperate to leave the Destiny Islands, and searching for a source of strength. When Sora questions her, she immediately switches gears, saying they should just take the raft and leave Riku behind. Through this line, she's projecting her own fear of being the one left behind. She doesn't want to leave Destiny Islands, but she's even more afraid of losing her friends. The only way she can rationalize going is the assertion that she can always come back home, and a promise from Sora that he will never change. Kairi craves stability over anything else, and sees any change to the status quo as an attack on her safety. She knows Riku hasn't changed, but she also knows that change is something he actively wants, and that scares her. Sora is a chronic people-pleaser. He will always choose his friend's needs over his own, so when confronted with someone like Kairi, it makes sense he would want to always be there for her, in whatever way she needs. But then, she disappears. Her heart enters Sora's, and he doesn't see her until after he's gone through almost an entire story's worth of growth. For the rest of the franchise, Kairi and Sora will never be on equal levels of plot awareness or character development. Sora's changed, Kairi hasn't. Let's turn one of the, let's say, less great writing choices of this series into something relevant. And that's how irrelevant Kairi is. Being functionally fridged here means that all of Sora's thoughts about her throughout the game are in retrospect. Until Hollow Bastion, she only appears in flashbacks or as a hallucination whenever Sora's feeling a bit nostalgic. This serves the purpose of placing her character, both textually and thematically, in Sora's past. Throughout the game, Sora can't make any new experiences with her, but he could just remember her in a fixed state. And this is great news for him, actually. He never has to face the changes that seem to be happening to their dynamic. Sora gets older, but their friendship never has to grow up. This idea comes back in a major way for Kingdom Hearts 2, so keep it in mind, but for now, it gets explored in both the 100-Acre Wood and Neverland. Sora and Riku get multiple parallels to major Disney characters. For example, Riku has a pretty explicit analog to Ariel in this game, and Sora has the Beast. Interestingly enough, most of Riku's parallels actually tend to be princesses, while Sora gets most of the strong heroic types. However, Kairi's only significant Disney counterpart is Winnie the Pooh. They're both always anxious about being forgotten by their friends, they seek routine, and for things to stop changing. Basically, they're both classic Enneagram Type 9s. In his very first conversation with Sora, Pooh is able to directly express what Kairi was dancing around on the pier. His loneliness without his friends, and a longing for the way things used to be. Pooh, like Kairi, wants to be someone Sora can always return to, but in the fiction of Winnie the Pooh, the 100-Acre Wood serves to represent an idealized fantasy and the simplicity of childhood, which is something we all leave behind at one point or another. Next up is Neverland, from a story which is explicitly about refusing to grow up. And oh, what's this? It's a foil to Sora? Showing what he'd be like if he grew up under the influence of heteronormativity? Neverland, you spoil me. So yeah, I'm talking about Peter Pan here. He and Sora each came to the Jolly Roger to rescue their respective damsels in distress, but they really couldn't be more different. Where Sora is genuine, Peter is snarky. Where Sora is naive, Peter is immature. And you can't convince me this isn't the reaction of a guy who thinks hugging his friends is gay.
I'm Peter Pan.
I'm Sora.
Okay, we're in this together, but only till we find Wendy.
It's almost whiplash, after following Sora for a whole game, to come across a boy so resistant to sincerity as Peter. He ditches them as soon as he finds Wendy, and later leaves Tinkerbell with Sora as a summon, abandoning his friends for his romantic interest. Overall, Neverland paints a picture of masculinity and heroism opposite to what we usually see in Kingdom Hearts. The way Peter's personality is implemented is a purposeful addition, meant to highlight how different Sora's is. After defeating Hook, Sora talks about how he wishes Kairi could have seen him fly, and Peter suggests he take her back to Neverland one day, a world constructed around clinging to childhood and avoiding the future.
Sora!
I still can't believe it. I really flew. Wait till I tell Kairi. I wonder if she'll believe me. Probably not.
You can bring her to Neverland sometime. Then she can try it herself.
Why is Kairi so heavily associated with childhood? Riku isn't, and he's known Sora for even longer. Especially if she's supposed to be Sora's planned love interest here, you'd think there would be more insight into how they develop as a couple in the future, or even one connection between her and some more romantically coded characters. But time and time again, she's shown to be someone cemented firmly in Sora's past, someone he's being thematically told he needs to move on from in order to grow up. And that's what the series is about, right? Before we move on, there's something I haven't mentioned yet, and that's the cave drawings. They kind of map out the evolution of Sora and Kairi's relationship as we see it in the game. We first see them in a flashback early on Destiny Islands. Sora and Kairi drew the portraits as really little kids, probably pretty early in their friendship, and this sequence not only tells us how long they've known each other, but also how platonic the origins of the drawings are. When Sora returns later on, he adds to the drawing, a shooting star traveling from him to Kairi. The obvious connotation is that it's a Paopu fruit, more so because this scene happens right after Riku puts it in Sora's mind that he should share one with her. He seems compelled to recontextualize their friendship as romantic. Also, he doesn't actually draw them sharing it, just him giving one to her. It's a gesture for her sake. These drawings don't come back up for a while, until Kairi appears to Sora in Merlin's house.
There's something about this musty place. It reminds me of the secret place back home, where we used to scribble on the walls. Remember?
Kairi?
Sora?
She appears as a manifestation of Sora's memories of when they used to draw on the walls of the secret place, though she refers to it specifically as scribbling. She's trying to downplay it as something immature, although we know that Sora just added to the drawing. It clearly still holds significance to him. She wants them to move on from childhood, while that's all Sora will ever associate her with. During the ending cinematic, Kairi again returns to the secret place, seeing Sora's addition to their portraits, and adding a second star, although in this case it also represents the Wayfinder charm she gave him. While Kairi doesn't like change that's out of her control, she's more than willing to change herself for Sora. If he returns to the secret place to draw, she will too. They mirror what they think the other one feels, but they're always just a little out of sync in their understanding. They always miss each other, like shooting stars or something. Under the Comphet lens of analysis, Sora goes mostly unscathed in this game. He seems to avoid the influence of heteronormativity, and when he doesn't, we can sense an incongruity with his internal feelings. But that won't always be the case.
It's important to establish that when Sora, Donald, and Goofy first enter Castle Oblivion, they do it because they can feel the presence of their quote-unquote very best friends.
Really? 'Cause now that you mention it, I was kinda thinking the same thing.
Seriously? Me too. One look at this castle, and I just knew. our very best friends. They're here.
At this point in his journey, Sora's driving force and his motivations are all centered around finding and reuniting with his best friend Riku. He is not thinking of Kairi at all because he knows she is safe back on Destiny Islands. Upon Marluxia telling Sora that he will meet people he misses, his first reaction is to assume that he is talking about Riku.
Here you will meet people that you have known in the past, and you will meet people you miss.
I miss? Riku! You mean Riku's here?
Sora may not be sure of Riku's safety, making him a priority, but it's important to point out that he is separated from both Riku and Kairi. Despite this, he doesn't give any indication that he misses Kairi. The first character that encourages Sora to rethink his relationships is Axel. After your first fight with him, he tells the party that Sora will have to give some more thought to who it is that's most important to him.
Then you will find someone very special.
You mean King Mickey and Riku?
You will just have to give some more thought to who it is that's most important to you.
It comes off as very manipulative and shady, and it is. Axel is denying Sora's feelings about his relationship with Riku and telling him that he's wrong to think that Riku is most important to him, which I think is extremely funny coming from him, the biggest pot-smoking homosexual I've ever seen in my life. I do especially love these cutscenes because Axel acts like he's high off his balls the entire time.
My show now, Keyblade Master. Who am I? Oh, my name's Axel. Got it memorized?
Sure.
Like, even Sora is actively weirded out by how he's acting. Anyways.
You have lost sight of the light within the darkness, and it seems that you've forgotten that you forgot.
The light within darkness?
Would you like me to give you a hint?
Whoa guys, that's so crazy. I wonder who Sora's light within darkness is. In the story, Axel is offering Sora a hint, but to us, the audience, the gesture itself is the hint. The first time Kairi is even mentioned at all in Chain of Memories is when they discuss past events, specifically Sora's on-screen unaliving from the first game to release her heart. Sora doesn't even pay the mention of Kairi much mind. He's too busy thinking about the fact that it happened in a castle. The first time Kairi physically appears outside of images from Kingdom Hearts 1 is in the scene where Sora expresses he won't forget about her because he has her good luck charm and he made a promise to her. This scene in the big picture is foreshadowing to coming events and serves in contrast to when he totally forgets her ass. But more importantly to this analysis, this scene will trip up people who themselves are affected by heteronormativity. Sora gets sappy and talks about his feelings surrounding a girl. Surely this must have romantic connotations, right? Not necessarily. Sora is already the type to get sappy about his friends. Riku even pointed out to him in Kingdom Hearts 2. He is also the type to offer his thoughts and feelings often, both about girls and boys. And honestly, he does it the most too and about Riku. The only thing that happens is that Sora's memory of Kairi smiles at him, and he smiles back. Real talk, are boys not allowed to smile at a girl without them being in love? If that's the case, then Sora is the most unvirtuous partner. He's out here smiling at people all the time. Nothing about this scene is inherently romantic. It's clear that Sora's thoughts and feelings about Namine are supposed to reflect his thoughts and feelings about Kairi. It seems that most of the memories that Namine replaces are about her. This is why Sora can't remember Kairi's name by the end of Chain of Memories, while he can remember Riku's despite the meteor shower. Shout out Crown Necklace Theory. So given this parallel between Namine and Kairi, it seems interesting thematically that Sora's feelings about Namine are entirely prompted by others and rarely occur naturally.
Although... I'm a bad guy, so you have to go through me.
What's that? Is that thing mine?
What a shame! You've been wearing it all this time and forgot? The memory has to be engraved somewhere deep inside your heart. Sora, you think carefully now. What, oh what could it be? And who gave it to you?
Me.
Sora, you're getting it now. Release the memory from within your heart.
Namine. Namine.
Well, it's about time. That's right, Namine. Yes, she's the one that gave you that tacky little good luck charm. Not that you even bothered to remember. No surprise, seeing as you also couldn't remember her name. It'd serve you right if I decided to smash this piece of junk.
Let it go! Namine gave me this. It's very important to me.
Oh, it's important to you? 10 seconds ago, you didn't even know what it was!
In the first encounter with Larxene, she is able to push Sora into remembering Namine's name, which he couldn't do in the scene before. As an audience, we are supposed to raise our suspicions at this scene. Is Sora's memories of Namine all they appear? Because if they were, why would Larxene be the one to spell it out for him? Sora himself even expresses his frustrations about this.
I hate this. Why'd I need someone like that to bring back Namine's memory?
You might even think this type of scenario is very Namine specific due to her memory powers, but I would argue against that. As discussed before, Sora doesn't get the idea to carve the Paupu fruit in the secret place on his own. He needs to be encouraged to do so by Riku. Riku is the one to bring up the properties with the fruit and tease him about sharing it with Kairi. Only then does he get the motivation to make the drawing. If analyzed under this particular circumstance, then the scene where Larxene gets Sora to remember Namine is just an exaggerated and fairly more manipulative and malicious on Larxene's end, parallel to the scene that we see on Destiny Islands in the first game. We're at this point in the game. Happy Pride Month to Riku.
Together, right. So like you. Sora. You're always trying to worm your way into my heart. When did I ever do that? Huh. You forgot that too? You never cared. It never mattered to you. You won't push me away.
Speaking of Riku, I think it speaks volumes that when he tells Sora that both him and Namine don't want to see him, Sora is seemingly only affected by Riku not wanting to see him.
Tell you the truth, Namine doesn't even want to look at your face.
Why not?
You should ask your memories. Why Namine disappeared from the islands. Remember that, and you'd know.
Did I do something? Is it my fault?
Anyone who goes near her goes through me!
What's wrong with you? We're supposed to be friends!
Please, Sora. Since when have you ever cared about me? Namine's not the only one who's sick of looking at you. So am I!
Sora, are you okay?
Don't worry about me. Riku, what happened?
Sora?
I know. You're thinking Riku isn't your friend. But that's just not true.
You sure?
In his first encounter with Riku, Sora is accused of being the reason that Namine left the islands, and that Namine is still hurt by what he did. The fact that Riku is upset at Sora is almost a footnote to him, but to Sora, it's the most devastating part of the interaction. Despite saving Namine being his driving force at this point in the game, the idea that Riku might not like him anymore suddenly becomes the most important thing to him at that moment. It's his real priorities shining through despite the manipulation being performed on him. This also ties into why Larxene and Marluxia want Axel to kill Vexen. If he continues to put Riku into their plans, it will remind Sora of his true feelings and prevent him from truly becoming Namine's pawn. At this point, I'm briefly going to touch on Aitsu and the scene that surrounds it. This is a pretty big talking point in the fandom, so you might at least be somewhat familiar. When Sora uses the Destiny Islands card in Castle Oblivion, the first scene he sees is with his friends Titus, Waka, and Selphie. In English, they tease him for liking someone using the pronouns she and her. However, in Japanese, the pronoun that is used here is aitsu. Aitsu is a gender-neutral pronoun, although it has masculine leanings, and it's considered strange and may be a little rude to use it to refer to a girl. Aitsu can absolutely not mean Namine, because she uses the feminine pronoun onoko. But who do we know that Sora refers to with aitsu? That's right, Riku. Selphie, Waka, and Titus are teasing him about having a crush on Riku, even if he isn't named. Sora seems to believe they are referring to Riku as well, because when his three friends disappear so that he can be alone with Aitsu, the next scene shows him approaching Riku. However, when he talks to Riku, the pronoun changes to onoko, showing the point in time in which Namine's memory powers kick in and change the memory. In English, the pronoun her is continuing to be used, but in Japanese, a meaningful distinction has occurred here. The difference between his authentic relationship with his male friend Riku and the constructed relationship with the girl Namine. Under our lens of analysis of studying for Comphet, there's clearly a line being drawn between what Sora truly wants and what outside forces are pushing him to want. Sora may not fully understand it, but when prompted to seek out a crush, he is drawn to find Riku. These are his true unrealized feelings for Riku. Then the presence of heteronormativity kicks in, and his memory of Riku pushes him to seek out a girl instead. It's like telling Sora, you don't actually want me, right? You want to be with Namine, who is a girl. In simpler terms, what Sora instinctively seeks out is rather gay and homosexual, while the plot pushes him to actually want something straight and heterosexual with Namine. Now we're finally to the point in the game where Namine and Sora meet, and Namine reveals that their relationship is fabricated. Outside of the specific queer analysis, I really like this scene. It's great character building for Namine, having her take the initiative to tell the truth to Sora despite it not being in her best interests. It shows that even if conflicted, Namine will choose to do the right thing. What makes her really shine as an interesting character is the fact that she starts out actually wanting to plant herself in Sora's memories so she won't be lonely anymore. And at the end of Chain of Memories, she is still upset that Sora chooses his real, unaltered feelings rather than her and the heteronormativity she represents.
It isn't you. The person most special to me. It's not you, right?
No. The girl you really care about. The one who was always with you. It's not me. It's her.
But then, who is she? 'Cause I can't think of her name. If she's so special to me, then why can't I remember?
Even when being honest with Sora, Namine is mistaken as to who it is that's most important to him. We see in the Card of Destiny Islands with the Aitsu pronoun that it's Riku, but Namine assumes it's Kairi. Why is this? It's because Namine as a character represents false relationships. She pushed a fake friendship with her into Sora's mind, and she misrepresents his current friendships. She's the physical embodiment of heteronormativity. It's also not a malicious act on her part, though. When looking through Sora's memories, she assumed Kairi was most important to him, and that's why she replaced her. And why wouldn't she? A girl and a boy being friends? Most would assume that's a to-be romantic relationship. In a way, Namine's mistakes put her in the same position as the audience playing at home. It's a common misunderstanding that Kairi is the love interest of Kingdom Hearts, but Sora's relationships aren't that simple. That's why the memory of the meteor shower slipped into the memories of Kairi she was overwriting, because that memory with Riku is deeply cherished by Sora.
Oh, brother, that's a bit much. It's okay. Sora always gets like this every time he's around a girl.
Aw, cut it out.
Goofy in this scene genuinely pisses me off, cause like Goofy, how many times have you seen Sora interact with a girl his age before? Like once? Goofy, you can tease Sora about other things. You don't have to make up stuff to make fun of him for. Sora doesn't know any better either, so he's internalizing this information without thinking about it critically.
She is your light. The light within the darkness. Remember her, and all the memories lost in the shadows of your heart will come into the light.
Another promise.
This scene also shows another misunderstanding on Namine's part. She is obviously talking about Kairi here, But we know that Sora's light within darkness is actually Riku. From the Kingdom Hearts 1 opening, to Axel's hand gesture, to the dive to the heart sequence in Kingdom Hearts 3, and the fact that Riku always seems to be Sora's instinctual priority. Kairi may be a pure light because she is a princess of heart, but she's not Sora's light.
Kairi!
In this scene, Sora is shown Riku, but he purposely looks past him to see Kairi. Even though Riku is there, he has been primed by Namine to assume that he's looking for a girl. That's why he seems to barely register Riku appearing before him, simply looking past to see Kairi in the further distance. The way it's framed, it seems like the light comes from Kairi, but that's only because Sora is looking at her. When it zooms out, you can see that the proximity of Riku and Kairi means that the light could have come from either of them, but Sora assumes it comes from Kairi, because that's what the heteronormative forces at play have pushed him to believe. At the beginning of Chain of Memories, Sora had his feelings and priorities fully revolving around Riku, but by the end, his perspective has fully shifted over to Kairi. He is now fully submerged in compulsory heterosexuality.
Picking up directly where Chain of Memories left off, there is a sequence during the Twilight Town prologue that further cements this centering of Kairi in Sora's memories. It's a montage of moments from Kingdom Hearts 1 being broadcast into Roxas's mind by Diz and Namine. During the flashbacks, the screen occasionally glitches or jumps, but it isn't until the first memory of Riku, when Sora saw him in Monstro, that these glitches begin to show a new frame, a still image of Kairi. As Sora's memories of Riku play, they're intercut with Kairi's face. Finally, we see an image of Riku, which is quickly refocused on Kairi, who's been standing behind him. This is an exact redux of that scene from Chain of Memories, if it wasn't clear. Now, Namine's goal with these memories is to connect Roxas's heart with Kairi's to speed up Sora's reawakening, so it makes sense that she would focus on her, but it's important to remember that due to this, Roxas has a curated and surface-level understanding of Sora's experiences. This is why, when he does contact Kairi, he refers to her as that girl he likes.
I'm Kairi. Kairi, I know you. You're that girl he likes.
Also, characters in Kingdom Hearts can be wrong. They are, like, all of the time. Namine was wrong about Sora's light in the darkness in Chain of Memories, and Roxas makes that same mistake here. At this point in the story, you should be taking Roxas's words with a grain of salt. At this stage of the analysis, Sora is firmly under the influence of Comphet. He's convinced he's meant to be in love with Kairi, and his vision of their relationship is reflected in many of the worlds he visits, which put a new emphasis on romance. It seems he's constantly being confronted with the archetypal significance of heterosexuality, so it makes sense he'd try to apply that to his own journey. He is a hero, right? Shouldn't he get the girl? Kairi not being physically present for the vast majority of this game has left her as a safe object of desire for Sora. He gets the security of liking a girl, without the commitment or intimacy of an actual girlfriend. Sora really likes the idea of being with her, and that's about it. This is a really common expression of Comphet, actually. In real life, it might appear as a crush on a fictional character, a celebrity, or someone equally unobtainable. And who's more unobtainable to Sora than Kairi? Despite his supposed fixation on Kairi, the game repeatedly makes itself very clear that it's about Riku. Finding him is given equal significance to literally saving the worlds, and Sora is constantly asking characters if they've seen him. His whereabouts are even kept a mystery from the player. You're supposed to be as invested in this as Sora is. He is to this game what Kairi was to the first. Of course, this time, Kairi is presumably safe on Destiny Islands, but until we become aware that she's not, Sora doesn't even mention her.
Do you know a girl named Kairi? Kairi? I sure do! Then you better come to the station.
Even the times Sora is implied to be thinking about Kairi, it's left very ambiguous. Take, for example, when he watches Will and Elizabeth's reunion at Port Royal.
Good for them.
Uh-huh. Hey, Sora, how come your face is all red?
What? It is not red.
I know who you're thinking about.
After he says good for them, with the tone of your grandmother seeing a gay couple on House Hunters, Donald and Goofy immediately start teasing, in an attempt to coerce him into admitting he likes Kairi. Only, while Donald says he knows who Sora's thinking about, he never actually names anyone. That's up to the player to assume. There are a ton of places to point out Donald and Goofy's influence on Sora. I would go so far to say that, at this point, they have more of a role in Sora's internalization of heteronormativity than Namine. As we just saw, they're always the ones to push straight romance on Sora, and they tease the Disney couples in front of him. Sora catches on and begins to joke in the same way, seen in the Land of Dragons and Olympus Coliseum.
You two play nice.
Whoa, watch it, soldier.
You know. You two lovebirds seem to be getting along just fine without us hanging around.
Though he's clearly trying too hard. There's a general sense that Sora wants to be accepted by them, and believes that there's a certain image he has to maintain to do so, a heterosexual one. We see his repression of negativity around them all the time throughout the series, so it follows he'd mask other feelings as well.
Wonder when we'll see home again.
Sora!
Just kidding you. Lucky we didn't get cursed, huh?
One of the most important scenes to this analysis, and one that really stood out to me while playing, is when Sora envisions himself dancing with Kairi in Halloween Town. This follows a conversation debating the true worth of a gift, whether that's what it's wrapped in, what's inside the box, or the intention behind giving it in the first place. After seeing Jack and Sally so happy in each other's company, Sora is convinced he's never given Kairi a real gift, implying that maybe he's never had the correct intentions, and that's what's keeping them apart.
Maybe I never gave her a real present after all.
Donald and Goofy suggest that she doesn't need anything but to be with him, the one thing he hasn't been able to give her.
Oh, I bet Kairi would like most anything you gave her.
I know. That's what made it so hard to decide.
It's not the gift, it's what's in your heart.
My heart?
You bet. Time is outside it.
How?
Well, as long as she can be with you, what else does she need?
He overlays Kairi and himself on Jack and Sally as they dance, only Sora is his current age, while Kairi appears how he left her on Destiny Islands over a year ago. This is the Kairi in his mind, an idealized, nostalgic version of the real person. He tries to envision a world in which he and Kairi are a couple, but by doing so, he reveals that the Kairi he wants to be with doesn't really exist. This is an evolution of the theme of childhood that was set up back in Kingdom Hearts 1. Sora has grown up, but the version of Kairi in his head never did. Port Royal and Halloween Town both call back to Neverland and the idea set up there. In Port Royal, we see a tonal shift from the cartoonish and whimsical Captain Hook to the more realistically threatening Captain Barbossa.
So you want to play pirate? Best save the play acting for the nursery.
Sora even remarks on how he isn't play acting anymore.
No more play acting now!
And in Halloween Town, we learn that Riku is the one who told Sora that Santa Claus isn't real, playing on the theme of believing from when Sora learned to fly.
I believe there's a friend of yours who, if I recall correctly, was the one who told you there's no such thing as Santa Claus?
Oh yeah. He did say that.
Be sure to give him my very best wishes.
I will, but do you know where I can find Riku?
While Kairi is tied to tradition, Riku represents Sora's gradual maturity. Remember how I said Sora and Riku get a lot of Disney parallels? Well, it doesn't end there. On the first visit to the Beast, he has gone under a similar transformation to Riku. Under the influence of darkness, he became someone he was ashamed of, to the extent he hid from Belle.
I've mistreated her. I've mistreated her and been so selfish.
She didn't say anything about that.
She'd never tell anyone of my cruelty. She's too good. You see, I'm afraid he judges himself far too harshly.
Why don't you just go talk to her?
But...
Sounds familiar. Belle, of course, never blamed him, but just wished he would talk to her.
But I had hoped that you might have changed a little bit. I wish you could start trusting me.
Really? You think he's gonna make it?
We think so.
Yup, I think you're right.
I hope you're right.
Through his conversation with Zaldin, we can even intuit some of Riku's current insecurities.
I've had enough of strength. There's only one thing I want.
What? To love and be loved in return. Who could ever love a beast?
That's right, this classic Disney couple is supposed to remind you of Sora and Riku. It happens again in Atlantica. Yes, that Atlantica. No, not in a song. But when Eric learns Ariel made a deal with Ursula, similar to Riku's with Maleficent, and she's now in a body she tried to hide, like Riku right now, he's instantly accepting and willing to adapt to her needs.
You see, Eric? This is why I went to Ursula.
This can't be.
I would have told you sooner.
To think.
Eric, goodbye.
I had all that time and I didn't work on my swimming.
Huh?
Well, I guess it's never too late to learn, right?
I wonder why Sora's being shown this. In the Land of the Dragons, seeing Mulan and Shang together, Sora begins to cry. At first it appears he's overwhelmed by this display, but in the novelization, we learn that looking at them, he's actually reminded of Riku. This is a direct quote. As Sora looked at them together, he noticed his vision growing blurry. Sora? Goofy set a hand on his shoulder. Donald peered into his face. Crying for joy? I'm not crying. Sora turned away and scrubbed at his eyes. He was not. There was no reason to cry when he was glad. Riku was alive. I want to see him. I have so much to tell him. Riku. It seems fitting that Sora would be reminded of Riku in the presence of the most queer-coded couple of the Disney Renaissance. I'd like to talk about Saïx now. My guy. My blue-haired pronounced king. On more than one occasion, special attention is called to his unique ability to understand hearts.
We don't have hearts. But we remember what it was like. That's what makes us special.
What do you mean?
We know very well how to injure a heart.
Specifically, how to cause them the most pain. The power to plant seeds of doubt, as Xemnas put it. This is probably the reason he was the one chosen to deliver the message to Sora to motivate him to keep killing Heartless. And how does he do it? By bringing up Riku.
Let's jump in after him.
How come?
I'm not sure, but maybe he'll lead us to the organization's world.
Don't be reckless. Do you want to end up like Riku?
What? Hey! Wait! What did he mean, end up like Riku?
Hey! How about you get out of my town now? You've caused enough trouble.
Riku.
Have it your way. Come on, guys.
This throws Sora off to the extent that he doesn't even acknowledge Cypher's entrance. The other organization members, Axel in particular, believe Kairi is the one who will fuel Sora's anger. Interesting to note, since Axel's probably applying what he learned from Namine back in Chain of Memories. However, when Saïx reappears later, he goes out of his way to reassure Sora that Kairi is safe. Not what you'd expect to hear from someone trying to turn Sora to the darkness. He, unlike the rest of the organization, sees that the true way to Sora's heart is through Riku. He's surprised to see how important Kairi really is to Sora when he begs for her location.
Please.
So you really do care for her. In that case, the answer's no.
You rotten!
Are you angry? Do you hate me? Then take that rage and direct it at the Heartless.
It's only after this display that he begins to use her as motivation. I guess as long as it influences Sora to fill Kingdom Hearts, it doesn't really matter. Later on, Saïx uses Sora's insecurity about not being there for Kairi against him, telling him she doesn't need him anymore.
She doesn't need you anymore.
I'm supposed to believe that?
Sora can't believe this. He's built his entire perception of her on the fact that she needs him to save her. Who is she to him if not his damsel in distress? We saw a similar assumption of reliance when Hana referred to Kairi as his friend too.
Yeah, you guys didn't have to go and do that.
Of course we did. Kairi's our friend too, you know.
You're right. You know, I never thought of it like that before.
I guess Sora forgot she could have those. But finally, they do make it to each other. Imagine you're Sora. Imagine the anticipation. You've been waiting for this moment to really be reunited with Kairi as long as you've had the Keyblade. Everything in your journey has been telling you that it all comes down to this. You'll be with Kairi, and your feelings will finally make sense.
Kairi, you are great!
Oh?
You are different, Kairi, but I'm just glad you're here.
You and Riku never came home, so I came looking for you.
The first thing he tells Kairi, after all of this time apart, is that she's different. The moment he sees the real person, all the expectations he's had for their reunion fall flat. She's not the Kairi he left on Destiny Islands a year ago. She grew up. Notice the silence.
I'm sorry.
This is real.
When she hugs him, he can barely bring himself to touch her. Something isn't right. Music played when Tron hugged Sora, but not now?
Isn't this what users do when they're sorry to say goodbye?
It's a first for me.
Finally, he hugs her back. Is this what he's supposed to do? Shouldn't it feel different? He's been waiting this whole game for this moment. Shouldn't everything make sense now? Donald and Goofy seem happy with him. It's dead fucking silent in this room. And then Kairi tells him Riku's here.
Riku, don't go!
Huh?
Kairi, what did you just say?
Riku.
I'm no one, just a castaway from the darkness.
Sora, come here. Say something to him. Here. You'll understand.
Sora takes his hand, and music plays.
Close your eyes.
Riku! It's Riku. Riku's here. I looked for you.
Come on, Sora. You've got to pull it together.
I looked everywhere for you.
This is the reunion that the game's been building up to the whole time. And of course it was. Sora began it looking for him. Sora falls to his knees, in a reflection of his earlier desperation to Saïx, except this time it's unprompted.
I didn't want you to find me.
Why didn't you let me know you were okay?
I told you. I didn't want to be found. Not like this. I couldn't.
Riku mentions the shame he feels over his appearance and perceived weakness, and all the foreshadowing falls into place. Belle and the Beast, Eric and Ariel, Mulan and Shang, all of these romantic pairings have a focus on internal identity or love prevailing despite appearances. In Kairi's case, Any differences Sora noticed were entirely superficial. Her clothes, her hair, her height, basically the box and ribbons, to draw on the Halloween Town metaphor, and yet he was quick to label her as entirely changed. Riku is in a different body altogether, the body of someone Sora hates.
Wait, handsome! I mean, Xehanort's heartless. I never thought for a second that I'd ever see you again. Just thinking about all the things you did makes me really mad.
He suffered changes to his entire being, but it's only with Riku that Sora is able to understand the examples of unconditional love and the intentions of the heart, and put them into practice. He's still Riku, no matter what.
Then, let's finish it. You're still Riku, no matter what.
The rest of the game is about what you'd expect. Sora and Riku are reunited, and they don't leave each other's sight. His final words to both Kairi and Riku before opening the door to Kingdom Hearts are pretty telling of where they stand now. Namely, Riku's use of side-by-side versus Kairi's follow. One of these is an equal and reciprocated partnership, and the other knows she's third-wheeling. Finally, the end cinematic resolves the plot thread of Sora having Kairi's lucky charm. He's been carrying a constant reminder of her for so long, but he can finally let her go. They are no longer bound by their promise. And on that note, I'm all out of analysis, so here's some gay shit from the Endgame.
Come on, man. Why did you try to do so much on your own? You've got friends, like us.
Have you forgotten? I'll tell you why. Because I'm not a total sap like you.
Say that again. Sora! Riku!
Sora, I can't.
Don't say another word. It's not over. It's just not.
How can you say that? Even if we could go on. Look where we are.
Aw, come on, Riku. You've been hanging out in darkness too long. You gotta try and think positive.
Sora? You lead.
Got it.
You know, I always figured I was better at stuff than you.
Really?
Are you mad?
No. I kinda always thought you were better at everything, too.
Put me down. I can walk.
Riku!
This world is perfect for me. If this is what the world really is, just this, then maybe I should fade back into darkness.
Riku.
If the world is made of light and darkness, we'll be the darkness.
Yeah. The other side. The realm of light is safe now. Kairi, the king, and the others are there.
That's what I mean. Hey, Sora. Could you help me? I want to get down to the water. At least the waves sound the same. I was jealous of you.
What for?
I wished I could live life the way you do. Just
Following my heart. Yeah, well, I've got my share of problems too.
Like what?
Like wanting to be like you.
Well, there is one advantage to being me. Something you can never imitate.
Really? What's that?
Having you for a friend.
Then I guess I'm okay the way I am. I've got something you could never imitate too. We'll go together.
Yeah.
Hey, Riku. What do you think it was? The door to the light.
This.
This?
Yeah. It's always closer than you think.
Kingdom Hearts 3 will always be a source of frustration with me. I have a personal hatred for whoever worked on the translation team because they clearly have a homophobic double standard when it comes to translating dialogue. Hercules' Taisetsu na Hito becomes person I love most, but Riku's Taisetsu na Hito is just strength to protect what matters. You've got to be kidding me. Such a beautiful resolution of an arc, a declaration of love that directly ties into the story beat of Riku's true love's sacrifice, and it's only properly communicated in Japanese. The heteronormative forces that have been plaguing Sora have moved on to a new victim, plaguing the very game he stars in. Many of Sora and Kairi's scenes have been filled with mistranslations, and it saddens me because it's such a beautiful resolution to the Comphet arc that most English-speaking players will never get to experience. The iconic Paupu scene starts with both Sora and Kairi looking out at Riku. Sora's confused by the setup.
Hey, why is Riku all alone?
He said he needed time to himself. Let's let him be.
When Kairi pulls the Paupu fruit off the tree, Sora noticeably reels back and audibly says, "What?" and "Huh?"
Here.
What? Huh?
He is actively taken aback at the idea of sharing the fruit with Kairi. He assumes from what Riku told him that it's a romantic gesture. He hasn't expressed romantic interest in Kairi since before the reunion in Kingdom Hearts 2, and he most certainly doesn't want to do a romantic gesture with her now. Despite Kairi smiling at him, Sora doesn't reach to take the fruit until she explains herself further. In English, she says she wants to be a part of Sora's life no matter what.
Tomorrow's fight will be our toughest yet. I want to be a part of your life no matter what. That's all.
This is wrong. It's a mistranslation. In Japanese, she assures Sora that it's just a good luck charm, assuaging his fears that this is romantic.
これからの戦いは今までと違う。もう離れ離れにならないように。おまじない。
Sora's always making charms and performing little rituals for good luck. Her keyblade is literally called Destiny's Embrace. She believes that recreating the cave drawing with Sora will bring good luck, and she knows that Sora won't do it with her if he thinks that Kairi is expecting him to be romantic. The way they quote-unquote share the Paupu fruit is also strange, and seems to contradict the legend that Riku talks about in Kingdom Hearts 1. First of all, they don't actually share the fruit. They each take one, hold it out to each other briefly, and then retract it. I think they are taking a bite out of each other's because there's this little crunching sound effect and there are little pieces taken out of the models. It's a little bit awkward because despite them making a little motion with their heads as if they're biting into it, they are nowhere near the actual fruit. When discussing this scene with Hannah while we were playing it, I actually thought they hadn't eaten it at all, just held it out to each other awkwardly. It seems weird that previous installments of Kingdom Hearts like 358 over 2 days could animate bites being taken out of ice cream, but in Kingdom Hearts 3 they can barely communicate that a fruit is being eaten. All this to say, this awkward display is certainly not sharing the Paopu fruit in a traditional sense.
You wanted one, didn't you?
A Paopu fruit?
If two people share one, their destinies become intertwined. They'll remain a part of each other's lives, no matter what.
All the way back in Kingdom Hearts 1, Riku specifically says, "You wanted one," and "if two people share one," when referring to the legend of the fruit. So the ritual in which destinies become intertwined specifically refers to two people splitting a singular Paopu fruit. But Sora and Kairi don't share one, they each get their own. This distinction is important because Sora and Kairi are not supposed to share the Paopu fruit properly, and they never will in the future. Why? Because the star shape of the Paopu fruit and the crossing nature of the cave painting and the ritual they partake in is an allusion to the fiction trope, the star-crossed lovers. Now, despite lovers being in the title, the trope refers to a relationship that is either doomed to fail or end in tragedy. Sora and Kairi are not meant to be together, and they both know this. That's why Sora couldn't hug her in Kingdom Hearts 2, and why he reels back when he's offered the fruit, and why Kairi writes letters to him but will never actually send them, and why she tells him it's not romantic, it's just a good luck charm. I truly believe that this is such a beautiful way to resolve Sora's struggle with compulsory heterosexuality. I love that he grows into having a fulfilling platonic relationship with Kairi instead of pushing her out of his life. It's no coincidence that in Kingdom Hearts 2, he could barely bring himself to touch her, but now that there's an understanding between them that they are not in a to-be romantic relationship, he is able to touch her. This arc came to a climax when Sora couldn't hug Kairi, and was resolved when he finally could without heteronormativity hanging over his head. When I recommend Kingdom Hearts to people, they are often skeptical. I think it's strange to hear the crossover game between Disney and Final Fantasy be praised for its storytelling abilities. Even Hannah thought I was exaggerating when I expressed how good it was. And look where we are now, 20 pages into a script on a video essay about the queer themes and arcs in Kingdom Hearts. Identity is a major theme in Kingdom Hearts. Xion and Roxas struggle with gaining personhood and having it recognized by the people around them. Ventus struggles with Aqua and Terra's views on him as a teenager with lost memories. Most members of the organization have grown disillusioned with the loss of their identity. Riku struggles with his relationship with the darkness and his feelings for his best friend, Sora. In real life, queer people struggle with their identity too. Moments of realization, coming to terms with it, the world's view of them and their view of themselves clashing, coming out to others. It all revolves around their identity. I don't think it's a mistake that as two non-binary lesbians, Hannah's favorite character is Roxas because of his struggles with individuality and relating to the human condition, and my favorite character is Riku because I'm drawn to his journey with internalized homophobia and self-acceptance. But I also like him because he is a pretty princess boy. Kingdom Hearts is a story that queer people can understand, and deep in the center is something they can resonate with. An explicitly queer story about a main character that struggles with compulsory heterosexuality. When I recommend Kingdom Hearts in the future, I need to make it even more unbelievable and start my pitches with correctly identifying Kingdom Hearts as peak queer media. In conclusion, Kingdom Hearts is gay as shit, bro. Like and subscribe!